My first race ever, and it was interesting. Our friend Jason, who was in the last video, had a friend who needed an extra crew person on this upcoming Icicle Race. So I gladly volunteered to be a part of it. The Icicle Race series are a series of 6 races that are down in Kemah in Galveston Bay during January and February. It's supposed to be cold, and that's the idea, icicle, whatever, but it was like mid-70s. But it was also very, very foggy, and this is what made the whole day a really interesting sail. For this race, we're sailing on a J22. The boat was ready by the time I got there, and we sailed off the dock and out through the channel. It was really, really, really foggy, and this was only my second time ever sailing out of the channel. In addition to it being foggy, the tide was going out and the wind was coming in, so there was a lot of chop in the actual channel to get out. And in the little J22, we felt it a lot. And what you couldn't see in this camera angle is that there was like a line of 6 boats behind us that were kind of trying to wait patiently as we were tacking up wind to get out of the stupid channel. We sailed out to the markers, and the start of this race was just between the 1 and 2 markers of the channel there. This was my first time, and this, I guess, even normally is kind of crazy because there's a whole bunch of boats that are queued up waiting for, or not even queued up, that are circling around trying not to run into each other, waiting for their time to go through the start line. But with the fog, we only had 100, 200 feet of visibility, so there was people coming out of the fog, and you'd have a fairly short amount of time to react. It was, I'd say it was both stressful and exciting, but it was really, really cool. So once our time came, we crossed the line and started sailing. And then before you know it, like, all the wind died and half the boats were just sitting there. All the boats were just sitting there doing nothing. Just kind of really anticlimactic way to start the race. But we slowly eased our way out and out of the fog, and once we got out of the fog, there was wind. We were able to finish the first leg of the race. This particular race, it was only had 3 legs and was triangle shaped, and we just had to go around the course once. We went around the first marker, and the second leg of the race took us back into the wind, back into the fog. We decided to take a little bit more of an upwind approach, which turned out working really, really well for us because many of the boats had to tack back upwind to get around the oil rig. This oil rig was the second marker of the race. So it actually allowed us to jump ahead, even though we were just a small, J22 and not as fast as the bigger, longer boats. We actually did pretty well, we think. It was just so foggy, it was really hard to tell how well you were doing. We did see 2 other J22s out there, and we managed to come in ahead of one. At one point in time, we had beaten another one, but we're pretty sure they finished the race before us, but we just couldn't see anything. As we entered the fog again, we lost wind for a long time. Some people just kind of bailed out of the race because without the wind and in the fog, it really wasn't adventurous, high thrill, high pulse rate sailing. But we decided to stick to it, and as we cleared the oil rig, which was the second mark, the third leg of the race was just to go back to the channel. During the third leg of the race, we hit the stretch where we didn't see a single other boat, and it was crazy. I mean, sure, we only had like 100 to 200 feet of visibility, but there was nobody around us. We couldn't see anybody, we couldn't hear anybody. It was just nothing. But we had GPS on our phone, so we knew we were going the right direction, and sure enough, before long, we came across the finish line, and it was just so bizarre because we had no idea if we were first or if we were last or the middle of the pack. There could have been 100 boats just 300 feet away from us, and there was been no way to tell. So the racing aspect of this icicle race was a little bit lackluster just because there wasn't a lot of wind. But the adventure aspect of this icicle race was really, really cool to be sailing in like that deep of a fog situation and just to be out there. It really, being in the fog when it's that thick, shrinks your world around you, but then you know there's dozens and dozens of other boats just right out there somewhere, not too far away. It was really interesting. So we sailed all the way back in and sailed into the dock, put everything away, and that was the day. It was a really cool experience, and I'm glad I was able to get down there for this race. Jessica wasn't in town. I had nothing better to do, so I was happy to just be the one-man add-on crew for this sail. And that's about it. I want to say thanks for inviting me out on the boat, and to thank our captain for this race, Alex, who was at the helm the entire time. He just did a really good job. It's really cool to be so young and have that much knowledge and skill and experience with regard to sailing. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe because we're going to have more stuff coming out, and like if you liked.